Welcome everyone, welcome to DelphiCon 2021, and now we are talking about Leaving Delphi 7, a success migration case. In your agenda we will see who we are, our motivation to migrate from Delphi 7, aspects of the migration project, the phases of the migration project, and what we have learned. About the speakers. This entire speaking was written by Rafael Lopes Pereira, a senior Delphi developer at Stony Co, postgraduated in software engineering. And here talking we have John Mai, Embarcadero Delphi and C++ Builder MVP, development manager at Aquasoft. This session was a real experienced project where I and Rafael Pereira work together in a migration project. So this talk is not about opinion, is some notes that we take during the project time. Okay, so all the facts, the data showing here are a real case of a migration project. Okay, who we are? We are Lynx, a Brazilian software company listed in NISA, focused on retail software. Lynx has 45.6% of the Brazilian market share in retail softwares. And Stone, a Brazilian fintech, part of the holding Stony Co, that also is listed on NISA. Stony Co is a company that serves its customer from payments and management tools and flexible financial products. Well, Stony Co operates in Brazil since 2012 and cover almost all Brazilian territory. In November of 2020, Stony Co bought Lynx, so now they are just one company, and this bought was in the end time of the project. The Lynx Big retail software that we work in this migration is a software with more than 20 years of market, focused on retail for drugstores. Today, Lynx Big running more than 3,000 customers with nearly 5,000 stores using the system. We have more than one desktop station for each store, so we have many more users in the final account. Okay, and our motivation to migrate. Well, worldwide, Win 10 is more than 80% of desktop market share in 2021. And as we can see through last years, Win 10 still have growing. So in the next few years, we have even a more market share focusing on Win 10. So if we want to cover Win 10, we must have some IDEs, some features that allow us to use this wholly new operational system. Well, we need a better visual approach to better deal with Win 10, as well as we need threads. You as a software developer must know that today we have to do many API integrations, and of course Delphi 7 has threads, but you can imagine deal with that many APIs integrations without the full support of the newest version of Delphi to threads, as well as the new kind of serialization from the ISO that we have. So Delphi 7 is a good old feature, a good old tool to develop software, but is now updated to these days. And these are the feels like of the system written in Delphi 7. And here we have the project already migrated to Seattle. So this kind of interface, and much more than I will show you in the next slides, are already written in Seattle. Of course, this project don't talk about this new ID, this new forms, this new visual look look and feel that we're right. This was another post project, okay? But after we migrate to Seattle, we able to build this kind of visual interface. So now we have support to styles, as you can see here. We have the full style as well as lighter and darker. And our full system supports styles natively through Delphi. All these components are native, or we team is very work very hard to build a very good visual interface. We have here the dark style applied. Here is a very important process form. This is Delphi 7, and here we have the new version of that form. Okay, we have some instant graphs on the screen, have many supports that we don't have on earlier Delphi 7. The same screen with darker style. As you can see, it looks like a completely new software, and this is the same old software. Okay, the visual structure was rewritten, but all the same classes, sources are very similar to old projects with Delphi 7. We just migrate to Seattle, and after that rewrite the visual part of the project. Here we have the same screen with lateral options. And now we have dashboards. Can you believe that? Yes, real-time dashboards for our customers, written and done in Delphi 7, in Seattle, native view in Seattle, and with all these graphs. As well as we have this real-time graph and other kind of interactivity graphs. As well as the new interface, we now are able to build for 64-bit. We can integrate better with Win10, with head access to FARDAC. We can build many other things that Delphi has access, and we can access now with the new version of Delphi. Of course, we can choose any other version of Delphi, okay? We choose Seattle because it's the version that we have already licensed for most of our developers. But we can choose any other newest version of Delphi that will provide the same access, the same features, even more features, okay? But for this time, this project, we have for most developers only Delphi Seattle, so we use that version. Okay, aspects of the migration project. What we must do: migrate from Delphi 7 to Seattle to support, as well as support MariaDB and MySQL. We estimated about 7 months to do all the job. And in our team, we have 22 in-house team members with developers, QA, and POs, and 3 outsourced developers from Aquasoft focused on do migration projects. And the aspect of the project that we must migrate: we have 65 Delphi projects, 194 modules, 6,000 PAS files, 2,000 DFM files, 2 million lines of code, and 23 third-party components suites. The phases of the migration project. Well, we split that project in 4 phases, okay, so we can control and deal with each phase separately, and as well as observe and monitoring each phase individually. So the first phase was the analysis phase. Well, in this phase, what we did, this phase took us 3 months and a half, and we use for this phase 3 developers from Microsoft and 1 developer and 1 QA from in-house team. Notice that in this phase, our QA are almost all the time in other projects, so we don't have access to them to a lot of tests and doubts in this phase of projects. We only have basically developers. And in this analysis, we measure the impact of the migration to Seattle, as well as compatibilization with new databases. We identify, resolve, and document the differences and problems of the migration. So, the actions that we did in this analysis phase. We took the onboarding with outsourced team. We do the analysis and the migration of the components. Rafael set some attention points, and one of that, the set here says, out of date version of components. We have a lot of trouble with this point because some components are very old that we use in Delphi 7. It's not only the fact that they are from Delphi 7, but they are outdated. And that fact took a lot of more effort to do the migration. So pay attention to this fact when you are migrating your own project. Component with large use in the project. So if you use a lot of a component, you will have a great impact on your migration project. And components without source code. Components without source code can generate very strange behaviors, and they can make more difficult your migration project. And for example, we have here a problem that we have with Zeus, open source database component. We are using in the old Delphi 7 the version from 2003, and we have some error while we access this line of code when we are access field as date time. And because of that, of course, we must change all the lines in the system that use that kind of access of this type of field. So you can imagine field of date type we use a lot in many commercial systems. So this bug took us a lot of effort writing and correcting this bug. And other actions that we did in the analysis phase was identification and resolution, change and conflicts between Delphi versions. Another attention point was Unicode. We must pay attention to DLL integrations and any other things that are affected by Unicode. And we developed a tool named Migration Replaces that automated some part of source replacement that we did in this project. Okay, about this tool. This tool was entirely written in the analysis phase of the project. Okay, they are customized just for this project because this project has its components, its style source code. We can not use this tool in other migration projects. Okay, and what this tool did, this tool automates some corrections from Undac to Zeus migration to wizard. So this tool wizard is from Nidax, a third-party wizard. We use that in our migration, but it has some bugs. And the correction of that bugs we did in our own hands with this replaces tool. Migration of all the utilized components. So many components must have some properties changed. And I will show you an example right next slide. And we must deal with difference from Delphi Seattle. So here we have in practice example. What is this source is before to use the migration replaces, and this source is after. As you can see here, we change the query type. Okay, was a Zeus query and became a uni query, as well as this fields in yellow here become these fields in yellow here. And these fields in red, some are deleted and some are changed for these fields in green here. So this kind of change this tool did for us in all our system. And search synchronization, yes, of course. During this analysis time, we couldn't freeze all the source code from the project. Okay, so while this small team for developers are doing the analysis phase, we have other 20 developers developing the normal project, doing the sprints, implementing new features. They don't freeze the new implementations. We keep on doing the analysis in parallel with they doing new features. Okay, and at this execution phase, we change things. This execution phase, when we have done all these studies, we took only 2 days with 2 developers, one from Microsoft and one in-house. And with that tool that we developed, we changed all the source code from Delphi 7 to Seattle in only 2 days. Okay, that tool did all the changes in the source code that we must have done. We, before these 2 days, freeze all the source code, all the alterations, run the tool, and after these 2 days, all the team are allowed to go back to work. And this execution phase, we changed almost 5,000 source files, as you can see here. Here are our commits from Git. And it took almost 6 hours to do all the replaces with the replace tool. Okay, so we took another day to verify all the changes, and then we finished the execution phase. After this phase, we go into validation phase. In this phase, we try to validate every change done by the migration phase and execution, and we must validate that there aren't new bugs added from the migration. Okay, this validation phase took us 2.5 months and took it 3 outsourced developers and 22 members from in-house team. This time including developers, POs, project owners, and as well as QA, quality analysts. And we have done the validation from all the affected projects and routines, searching for bugs, as well as the resolution from them. So we split our team in some specialized areas: developers for bug fix, developers, QAs, and POs. And my actions was the team was prepared because after the execution phase, all the team was all the development team was working with Delphi 7. Now they have to use Seattle. So we teach them how to use Seattle, new features, how that works. Okay, is your daily base work tool change in 2 days. You have to be prepared for that. So we prepare the team. And after that, all the development team onboarding on the validation phase, where we validate all the system, searching for bugs that maybe the migration have been created. Another attention point from Rafael here is data from external source. As example, external APIs. I will talk about that later. So here we can have the real-time graphs of the validation phase. And it's not in real time, okay? It's, it's the graph from the validation phase. And in orange here, we have the new bugs reported. In blue here, we have the bugs fixed. And in gray here, we have the bugs opened, pending for resolution. As you can see, in the start of the validation, we have a lot of bugs. That's expected because all the migration was automated. So if you have a bug in your automated tool, that bug will be in all your system, okay? And as well as if we fix that bug in automated tool, we fix for all the system. So as you can see, we have a lot of bugs showing up in the start of the validation phase, but we have also a lot of bugs being corrected just in the same way. Some of these bugs we characterized as a deficit on QA and start of the project. We didn't have access to that QA that was planned, and maybe that helped to this phase we have more bugs than we originally expected. But as you can see here, with just a little of effort on the course of the validation phase, we have less and less bugs being opened until we have almost any. In the validation phase, we cover almost all the functionalities from the system. As you can see in this graph here, we covered almost 97% of the functionalities of the system. This last 3% was some external APIs that we don't have the data to do the validation in non-production environment. So we couldn't test that part. We couldn't validate that part. And that part must go to the production without an internal test. So for your migration project, take some notes of what external APIs do you need and be prepared for test them on environment ambient, homologation ambient. Okay, after the validation phase project have done, we find the bugs, corrected them, we go to the first deploy release candidate. Well, this phase took 5 weeks. For the team, we have one QA, one developer. And what we did, we choose 104 customers from our customer base and put to run on them a release candidate version. It was almost 184 establishments in 18 Brazilian states. Here in Brazil, we have many taxes, regulations are different from state to state. So we took a lot of states to have some different kind of tax validation at the same time. Well, what we did, we set some checkpoints that if the checkpoints was reached, we have to cancel, okay, to abort the first deploy. And what was the checkpoints? We have, at the most, have 5 POs, P0s, okay, critical or priority bugs. 5 P0 bugs, bugs without any possible workaround, we stop the first deploy. If we have that, we will stop the first deploy. And at the most, 20 of P1s in our classifications, priority 1 bugs with at least one possible workaround. Okay, but bugs with that configuration, if we have more than 20, we will stop the first deploy as well. Well, what we have? We have just 1 P0 and 4 P1. Okay, in total, we have 14 bugs reported. So, as a result, we have for our checkpoint 5 P0, we had just 1. And for the second checkpoint, we have 20 P1, we had just 4. So at this point, we consider the migration complete. We are full Seattle. We don't have any pending bugs. and we now have support to that estimated database that we have in the beginning of the project. After that, we start the full deploy to all our customers. At this time, at the time that you are watching the session, we have about 99% of the customer updated, okay? And the attention point that we will mention for you is planning your release candidate. We thought that is a very important step, and you must carefully choose what customers will receive that candidate version. You must ensure that your customer will validate all the critical points of your system. Okay, if you have some customers with different kind of use of your system, you have to choose them carefully to cover all your functionalities. Okay, so lessons learned. We had just a few case tests on our analysis phase that maybe impact us on the start of the validation phase when we have more bugs, a lot of bugs being reported. It was not a great thing, but okay, is a point that we maybe must be more careful. And third-party components must be very well analyzed even before you start the migration phase. Okay, they can add a lot of work, a lot of load in your migration project. Build personalized tools to automate part of the migration. Okay, personalized tools can help you a lot, even consider if you are migrating a large project. Number of projects for validations versus time for available for tests. You must think that you have to test your project after the migration, so you must consider that as an important point of the migration. If we don't did the validation phase, we will have a lot of trouble in production line, and maybe for our management board, that trouble can be considered as a failed project when it was just couldn't be just a lack of tests. Okay, wasn't our case. Just imagine some hypothetical situation. Okay, communication during the project was very important. We keep all the team updated from what we are doing, how they will affected by the things that we are doing. So you must be keep communication during the project. The project will affect all the developers. Okay, the main tool of work will change, so you must be them prepared for that. And you must set and monitor your checkpoints for the project. Okay, checkpoints, in our opinion, are very important, and they can decide if you must keep going on your phase, change to another phase, or just abort the migration project. Okay, clear objective for the migration. If we change some of the objectives during the project, we maybe took 3 or 4 or more months to the migration project. So you must set clear objectives, clear goals, and go for them. Don't keep moving the line. Maybe that can be can cause you a lot of trouble. And we must evolve to stay in the game. Okay, people, please don't keep going with large systems in old versions of Delphi. They are very great tools, but they had the time. We must go on. Okay, Delphi 7 doesn't support a lot of new features that we have nowadays. Many of these features are critical for system operate. So if you want to keep your system, keep them updated, stay in the game. Please do some migration. Don't keep using that old versions with this new operational system. So thank you all for your attention. And here we have some links that we use during the migration project, some links we use during the analysis phase. Okay, maybe these links help you as well. And we may be here to answer some Q&A. And here we have the Rafael Pereira contact information, and feel free to contact them.